Yeah, let me continue. There's not a lot to say about the pharynx. Apologize for the delay, but we'll be back. Uh, Basically, the oral pharynx just for food, again, is stratified squamous. I'm not worried about this kind of anatomy. We'll get back to it when we look at the immune system, where the tonsils are. And the laryngopharynx, basically similar in that regard. We still have stratified squamous because understand that the mechanical aspect of food coming down is problematic. And it would be much more traumatic for those pseudostratified ciliated. Again, stratification means mechanical protection in this context, and it extends to the larynx where it's continuous with the esophagus, and it continues down the esophagus that way. At the larynx, things are going to change. And so here again, you can see the opening for the pharyngotympanic or eustachian or whatever tube you want to call it, auditory tube. And again, more tonsils are here. And now we're down to this area, right behind the larynx. That's where it terminates. It terminates because the epiglottis, when we swallow food, obviously, what it does is it protects the passageway basically into our throat, mechanically speaking, so we don't get food particles or food proper in here. And I mean, obviously, choking risk and even potential risk of death. That whole Heimlich maneuver thing, all of those things are based on the anatomy around here. The epiglottis is the unique feature of this because every other cartilage is hyaline cartilage. This is not. This is one of the two areas, the ear, the outer ear being the other, of elastic cartilage in the human body. And then we get into the laryngeal area with these folds that are there that I really don't delve into, and we'll look at the cartilages after this. So again, all of those things, adenoids, tonsils, enlarged, blah, 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 all that. And we get into the lower system. So and again, the interesting part about this, the functional divisions are conducting and respiratory. This is really important. Anatomically, we have upper and lower. But really, when we look at the lower respiratory system, we break it into two areas that are there, what we call the conducting zone. And that's, to me, that starts actually in the nose because you're starting to breathe. I really don't feel I think that's a juncture. It's all of the upper, so to speak. And then the lower, all the way in, transporting the gas, and certainly your nose and your mouth play a role in that. All other respiratory structures cleanses, warms, and humidifies the air, starting with your nose. And effectively, it ends in what are called terminal bronchioles. They are the last structures that have any cartilage whatsoever. And all they have are tiny fragments. And when those disappear, we get into the respiratory zone. And at that point, we're so close to the barrier where the alveoli are. We're so close to those alveoli and these chambers, these great blood clusters, that we don't have to worry, that we can rely strictly on simple diffusion. I mean, then the concentration gradient of the abundance of oxygen and the limited amount of carbon dioxide, and the opposite, obviously, in the pulmonary circulation, allows the exchange to take place. We call that the respiratory zone. And this becomes really important when we look at chronic obstructive diseases, which are such a big problem we have, not just for people. Thank you for the dog. I'm sorry, guys, this is happening again. And we'll look at all of those. So the larynx, basically, as you can see from the third to sixth vertebral vertebrae, attaches to the hyoid bone. Remember, this is where that becomes important. So the dog's going nuts, so I'm going to have to give you another section of this. Having a headache with this freaking dog. Talk to you back soon. Bye-bye.